Erev Tov Rabotai, we are continuing with our Mishna Yomi, Masechet Beitzah. We are up to Perek Bet Mishnah Dalet. Today's Mishnah should be Le'ilun Nishmat, Neria ben Svetlana Aranbayev, and Eliyahu ben Burcha Israelov, Minuchatam Began Eden, Amen, and Avdi ben Chaim L'Chaim, for the Refuah Shlema Bacha Bat Esther, and Daniel Shalom ben Rosa, Betoch Shah Cholei Israel. Every man must visit the temple on Pesach, Shavuot, and Sukkot, and bring two offerings, the Olat Reiyah and the Shalmei Chagiga. The Olat Reiyah is an Olah offering which is entirely burned on the altar, and the Shalmei Chagiga is a Shalamim offering whose meat is eaten by the owner, his family, and guests. Like all other personal offerings, these offerings require smicha, leaning. That is, before the offering is slaughtered, the owner places his hands on the head of the animal and leans down on it with all his strength. The Mishnah cites a dispute as to whether one may bring these offerings on Yom Tov itself and whether one may perform smicha then. The Mishnah begins, Bet Shammai Amrim, Bet Shammai say, Mevi'in Shalamim ven Sumchin Alehen. We may bring the festival Shalamim offerings, the Shalmei Chagiga and Yom Tov, because their meat is eaten, but we may not perform smicha on them because leaning on an animal is rabbinically forbidden on Yom Tov. Now, since the Shalmei Chagiga is eaten and melachot of food preparation like slaughtering and cooking are permitted on Yom Tov, one may bring this offering on Yom Tov. However, Bet Shammai say, one may not perform smicha on them because leaning on the animals is rabbinically forbidden on Yom Tov. And the commentaries explain the sages prohibited riding an animal on Shabbat or Yom Tov because they fear that as a person is riding, he might break a branch off a tree to use as a whip, which is a biblical transgression. This rabbinic prohibition includes not only riding, but any direct use of an animal's body. The act of smicha is therefore forbidden on Yom Tov because the person leans down on its head with all his strength, using it to support his weight. Bet Shammai hold that smicha does not have to be performed immediately before the slaughter of the offering or even on the same day. Therefore, one who offers an animal on Yom Tov is Shalmei Chagiga, which when leaning is prohibited, must do a smicha the day before. Aval lo olot. However, we may not bring the festival olah offerings, the olat reiyot, on Yom Tov because they are not eaten but entirely burned on the altar. Rather, we bring them after Yom Tov. Bet Shammai derived from a verse that the Torah permitted slaughtering on Yom Tov for meat only to provide for the needs of people, not for the benefit of the altar. Therefore, according to Bet Shammai, the Olat Reiyah of Pesach and Sukkot is brought on Chol Moed. The Olat Reiyah of Shavuot, which is a one-day festival according to biblical law, is brought on one of the 6 days following the festival. Bet Hillel omrim, but Bet Hillel say, Mevi'in Shalamim ve'olot v'sumchin alehem. We may bring both the festival Shalamim and the festival Olah offerings in Yom Tov, for there is a scriptural decree to permit this, and we perform smicha on them on Yom Tov, because the sages lifted the prohibition of leaning on an animal in the case of offerings brought on Yom Tov. The Torah describes Yom Tov as Atzeret Ladonai Elohecha, a festival for Hashem your God, in Sefer Dvarim, chapter 16, verse 8. Bet Hillel derived from this verse that even a festival offering brought for Hashem, meaning for Hashem's altar, such as the Olat Reiyah, may be brought on Yom Tov. The Mishnah refers only to personal offerings that are brought because of the festival. All agree that other personal Shalamim and Olah offerings may not be brought in Yom Tov. And furthermore, everyone agrees that all the communal festival offerings are brought on Yom Tov, even Olah offerings, for the Torah specifically commands us to do so. And Bet Hillel ruled that smicha must be done immediately before the offering is slaughtered. Therefore, when an offering is brought on Yom Tov, since its smicha must be done that day, the sages lifted their prohibition of using animals on Yom Tov and permitted smicha, as Rashi explains in Chagiga, page 7b. And that is in Rabotai of Mishnah Dalet. Mishnah now continues. Heating water is forbidden on Shabbat under the melacha of cooking, yet it is permitted on Yom Tov because cooking is a food preparation melacha. This Mishnah deals with heating water on Yom Tov for purposes other than preparing food. Bet Shammai Amrim, Bet Shammai say, Lo yachem adam chamin raglav ele im ken re'unin shtiyah. A person may not heat water on Yom Tov to wash his feet unless the hot water is also fit to drink, because the melacha of cooking is permitted on Yom Tov only for preparing food. Although a person is forbidden to heat water specifically for washing, he may heat water if he intends to drink at least some of it. Bet Hillel matirin, but Bet Hillel permit a person to heat water for this purpose on Yom Tov, because they hold that any melacha permitted for the sake of preparing food is permitted for other Yom Tov needs as well. Bet Hillel accept the rule of mitoch, since, which states, since certain melachot are permitted on Yom Tov for the sake of preparing food, they are permitted for other Yom Tov needs as well. Therefore, according to Bet Hillel, since one may heat water to prepare food, one may also heat water to wash one's face, feet, and hands, as the Mishnah Berurah explains in chapter 511 in Orach Chaim, Sivkata 9. And the Mishnah concludes with a similar ruling by Bet Hillel. Oseh adam midura u'mitchamem kenegdah. For the same reason, a person may make a bonfire on Yom Tov and warm himself before it. And that is the Rabotai of today's Mishna Yomi. Baruch Adonai Le'olam. Amen v'amen.